10 phrases that make you sound 100% smarter instantly. That's what we're covering today. And trust me, these are absolute game changers for your English.
You're about to learn the exact phrases that native speakers use to sound more intelligent, more confident, and way more articulate in everyday conversations.
Hey Paige, I've been thinking about how people always ask us for quick wins in English. You know, something they can use immediately.
Absolutely. And these 10 phrases, they're perfect for that. Whether you're chatting with friends, talking to coworkers, or just having everyday conversations.
Before we dive in, if you enjoy learning English with us and want more episodes like this, hit that subscribe button and like the video. It really helps us out.
All right. Phrase number 1. Instead of saying I think, try saying I would argue that. This immediately elevates your opinion to something more thoughtful and considered.
Listen to the pronunciation. I would argue that. Notice how would sounds like would and flows right into argue. I would argue that.
So, instead of I think remote work is better, you say I would argue that remote work offers significant advantages. Hear the difference?
It's not just what you say, it's how you frame it. That phrase makes you sound like you've really thought things through.
Phrase number 2. Replace shows with demonstrates. Same meaning, but demonstrates sounds way more sophisticated. The pronunciation is demonstrates. 4 syllables with stress on that first syllable.
This demonstrates the need for change. Practice it slowly. Dem-unstrates.
I use this one all the time. Last week I told my neighbor, your garden demonstrates real dedication. Way better than just saying it shows dedication, right?
Perfect example. Phrase number 3 is, it's worth noting that. This phrase signals you're about to share something important or interesting.
The pronunciation is smooth. It's worth noting that. Connect those words naturally. Don't pause between them. It's one fluid phrase.
You might say, it's worth noting that the restaurant closes early on Sundays. You're adding valuable information in a really polished way.
Number 4. Instead of also, use furthermore or moreover. These transition words make your speech sound more structured and intelligent.
Is pronounced furthermore. 3 syllables. The R sound is important. Not furthermore, but furthermore with clear R sounds.
Moreover is moreover. Again, that R sound matters. When you're building an argument or adding information, these words are gold.
Like, I enjoyed the movie. Furthermore, the acting was outstanding. It creates this nice flow between your ideas.
Phrase number 5 is a big one. In light of. This means considering or because of something. In light of. 3 words that sound like 2.
The T in light almost disappears. It flows into the of. In light of the. Try it. In light of recent events. In light of what you said.
I used this yesterday. In light of the weather forecast, we should leave early. It sounds so much more thoughtful than just saying, because of the weather.
Exactly. Number 6. Replace use with utilize. Now, use this one carefully because you don't want to overdo it, but in the right context, it's perfect.
Utilize is utilize. 3 syllables. The stress is on the first syllable. Utilize. Make sure that first syllable is strong.
Instead of we should use all available resources, try we should utilize all available resources. Same meaning, elevated delivery.
Phrase number 7. It's imperative that instead of it's important that. This takes urgency to another level.
Imperative. Imperative. 4 syllables with stress on the second. Not imperative, but imperative. That vowel sound is like the word pear.
It's imperative that we finish this today. Sounds way more serious and intelligent than just saying it's important. The word itself carries weight.
You know what's interesting? These phrases aren't complicated, but they transform how people perceive your English level.
That's so true. And phrase number 8 really proves that point. Instead of saying talks about or discusses, use addresses. This word has such a professional, articulate feel to it. The pronunciation is addresses. 3 syllables with the stress on the second syllable. Not addresses, but addresses. When you say something like, the article addresses climate change, or she addressed my concerns perfectly, you sound incredibly polished and thoughtful.
I love that one. Number 9 is another favorite of mine. Instead of I agree, try saying I concur. Now this might sound formal, but in the right context, it's fantastic. The pronunciation is concur. 2 syllables with stress on the second. The first syllable has that short U sound like in cup. Concur. You can use it in conversations with friends, and it adds this playful intelligence. Like if your friend says, that movie was incredible, you respond, I concur, with a little smile. It works because it's confident without being pretentious.
Oh, I use concur all the time. It's fun and smart at the same time. All right, phrase number 10, and this is a powerful one. It's evident that instead of it's clear that or it's obvious that. Evident means the same thing, but it sounds more analytical and observant. The pronunciation is evident. 3 syllables. Evident, with stress on the first syllable. When you say, it's evident that practice improves fluency, you sound like someone who really pays attention and thinks critically about things.
These 10 phrases are seriously powerful tools. But you can't just memorize them and forget about them. You need to practice using them in real situations. Start with 1 or 2 phrases this week. Use them when you're texting, talking to friends, or having conversations at work. The more you use them naturally, the more they become part of your automatic vocabulary. That's when people start noticing that your English sounds more refined and confident.
Let me give you a real example. A few months ago, I was talking about learning languages, and instead of saying, "I think practice is important," I said, "I would argue that consistent practice demonstrates the most significant impact on fluency." 3 phrases in 1 sentence. The person I was talking to responded with so much more engagement. They took what I said more seriously because of how I framed it. That's the power of these phrases. They change how people listen to you.
Perfect example. Now, here's a common mistake learners make. They try to use all these phrases in one conversation, and it sounds forced. Don't do that. The key is subtlety and authenticity. Pick one phrase, use it until it feels comfortable, then add another one. Think of it like building a wardrobe. You don't wear everything at once. You choose pieces that fit the occasion. Same with these phrases. Choose the ones that match your personality and the situations you're in most often.
Such good advice. And I want to talk about pronunciation for a second, because that's what really makes these phrases shine. You can use the perfect sophisticated phrase, but if your pronunciation is off, it loses its impact. So let's do a quick practice drill right now. I'll say each phrase once at normal speed, and then you repeat it out loud. Ready? I would argue that. Your turn. Furthermore. Furthermore. Your turn. It's imperative that. It's imperative that. Your turn.
Great practice. And here's another tip. Record yourself saying these phrases. I know it feels weird at first, but listening back to your own pronunciation is incredibly valuable. You'll catch things you didn't notice while speaking. Maybe your R sounds need work, or your stress patterns are off, or you're rushing through the words. Recording yourself gives you immediate feedback and helps you improve so much faster than just practicing without listening to yourself.
I did that when working on pronunciation years ago, and it completely changed my awareness. Now, let's talk about context, because that's crucial. These phrases work beautifully in casual conversations, not just formal situations. You can say to your friend, "It's worth noting that the coffee shop on 5th Street has amazing pastries." That's casual, friendly, and smart without being stuffy. Or tell your roommate, "In light of our tight budget, we should utilize coupons more." Everyday situations, elevated language.
Exactly. And that brings up an important point about confidence. When you start using these phrases, you might feel a little self-conscious. That's totally normal. But here's the truth. Most people won't notice you're using different phrases. They'll just notice that you sound articulate and thoughtful. They'll feel impressed without knowing exactly why. That's the beauty of improving your vocabulary. It works on a subconscious level. When you speak with these phrases, you make people feel like they're having an intelligent, worthwhile conversation.
That's such an important insight. Confidence is everything, and you build it through practice and repetition. Here's your homework. Choose 3 phrases from today's episode. Write them down. Create your own example sentences using each phrase. Say those sentences out loud 10 times each. Then, over the next week, find opportunities to use those 3 phrases in real conversations. Text them to friends. Say them when you're talking to people. The more you use them, the more natural they become, and the more your brain reaches for them automatically.
I'm going to add one more advanced tip for those who really want to maximize this. Pay attention to how native speakers combine these phrases with other elements of sophisticated speech. Things like varied sentence structure, strategic pauses, and vocal inflection. It's not just about the words you choose. It's about the entire package of how you deliver your message. When you say, "I would argue that," pause briefly before continuing. That pause gives weight to what you're about to say. When you say, "It's imperative that," let your voice carry the urgency.
Those details separate good English from exceptional English. And honestly, you're already on the path just by listening to this episode and taking the time to learn these phrases. The fact that you're here, engaged, and interested in improving your English demonstrates that you have the dedication to make progress. See what I did there? I used demonstrates instead of shows. These phrases can become so natural that you use them without thinking about it.
Before we wrap up, here's one final challenge. Tomorrow, use at least 2 of these phrases in conversations. It doesn't matter if it's with a friend, a coworker, a neighbor, or talking to yourself while cooking. Just use them. Then notice how it feels. Notice if people respond differently. Notice if you feel more confident. I bet you'll see a difference, and that difference will motivate you to keep going. English fluency is built one phrase, one conversation, one moment of practice at a time.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe for more English learning content. Where are you listening from? We'd love to know.